Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined by the whole crew today, Fisher and Krusty.
Hey everyone. It's
Hello.
good to be back.
Yeah, Krusty's back from a long hiatus, scouring the globe for wrestling talent.
Yes.
He's come back.
Holiday and then the dreaded COVID took me out. So if I don't sound quite myself, it's because it's lingering around, but I am fine. I'm back. Don't panic. So yeah, it'd be good to get a full podcast tonight with the three of us.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's good to have you back. We'll just crack on with the shows. There's no news this week, so we'll get into SmackDown. Who wants to start with a talking point from SmackDown from last Friday?
Well, I think we've got to talk about the amazing segment with the Bloodline, but obviously first there was a match before it first, so we might as well, I guess, talk to that as it was linked. So we had Solo and Sami versus the Brawling Brutes, which was a pretty good match. You had the typical arguing between Sami and Jay, which obviously led to Butch winning with a roll-up in the end. But afterwards, the argument was taking place, and what was really interesting is Jimmy and Jay actually got like really up close to each other, and then Roman's music hit, and their faces was just like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble."
I loved that.
And then the segment from then as well was fantastic. They couldn't control laughter. They actually,
I couldn't help but just be like, when Roman's music, I was just like, "Ooh,
Yeah,
someone's getting a smacked bum now."
It's like your parents coming home whilst you're like drawing on the walls or something as a kid. It was like proper, like, oh, I'm in trouble. I mean, we'll get into the segment in a bit, but just obviously, Sami makes everyone laugh. I feel like he's purposely trying to break everyone at the moment. Do you guys think that's a problem? Like, should he be trying to break? Roman Reigns is like the big guy. He should not be breaking.
I think it makes it.
I think it's all
in a way
to
even
it
better.
in the fact that
It depends if it takes
serious.
over. Because on Raw, they were chanting Ucey at Roman Reigns, which I just felt was a bit like, I don't know if that's how you want Roman Reigns.
The word Ucey.
No, he did do well with it, didn't he?
They're playing with it, but also I think even if this wasn't scripted, if somebody came out like Sami Zayn did, you would struggle to not laugh, no matter how serious you are. I mean, he's coming out just like, I don't even, I'm not even going to try to do an impression, but it's just funny, isn't it? So, as you say, it makes it feel a bit more real, even though it's sort of breaking away from it. It's just fun, isn't it? What's your thought on it, Sean? Do you disagree?
No, I actually agree. I thought this was brilliant. I loved the Ucey. I loved all of it. The first time I've seen Roman Reigns get involved with like the humor side of it, and it just was a bit of like, oh, this is different. I didn't know if I liked it or not. I think I did.
I think I'd have a problem if he didn't then get serious afterwards.
If
but
it was
he was basically like, even on the Raw promo, it was like, that's enough of that. I'm going to get serious now. And then he cut like a fire promo to the camera and stuff. So I think if he didn't do that afterwards, I'd agree. But
yeah, that's fair.
It's not quite Drew with Tyson Fury.
No. Oh God,
character breaking,
which I can't believe actually made TV. I thought that was just for us in the audience, but
madness.
You know. But
are you feeling Ucey tonight? Is the question.
I am feeling Ucey.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty Ucey.
I'm Ucey as well.
But one thing that really, I think the thing that really stood out as well was when Sami and Jay were arguing, and Jay was like, "I don't care what the tribal chief says," and the crowd gasps. And Roman's face was just like, and a slow turnaround. Like, what did you just say?
Yeah, Roman's face was phenomenal. Like, so perfect. And like I say, the crowd gasping. It's like Roman's got this full aura now that you don't want to upset him. Like, no one wants to upset him. Even like the crowd are a bit like, no, don't say that.
I love that he's using Sami Zayn against him as well. The fact that he said that he's going to name him Sami Uso.
Yeah.
Playing into the humor again. It's just difficult to know when this will break because, as you say, Jimmy got in Jay's face, which was a first. So how long can this go before it it breaks. I almost don't want it to though for a while. I want it to be a real long, slow build. I think it's too soon. Although
I think
they've been
it's going
so
to
long.
be. I think it's going to be.
Do you think it's going to break soon?
No, I think it's going to be built quite slowly now because
Yeah.
from what I've heard, the original plan was the Sami thing was only meant to be like a short-term bit of humor to set up something, but it's got so popular that they want to keep it running. The same thing happened with RK Bro when they paired Riddle and Orton together. They thought, right, we'll do this short-term thing, but it got so popular that they had to keep them together. I think the same thing's happening here because I've heard apparently as well the reason why Kevin Owens isn't doing much at the moment is because they've had to put his plans on hold because of this. So that's why they're holding off on the Kevin Sami stuff because Sami's kind of doesn't need it.
He's gone completely flat with KO, hasn't he? He's not even been there.
No, he's been on one episode of NXT, and that's it in the last like 4 weeks. He was on NXT like 2 weeks ago, and that's it. But I mean, he generally doesn't work much around the Saudi shows anyway because he doesn't go to them. No. So I think that's part of it as well. But yeah,
I'm sure he'll be very pleased for his best mate Sami as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just holding out. Like there's still big plans there. They're just delaying them. I think they can play it through to Mania. They could probably play it through to Mania at this point and do KO and Sami at Mania versus the Usos. That's probably what they'll end up doing.
The thing is with this dynamic at the moment is there are almost an infinite amount of ways they can go with this. Like you can do that. You could do another JV Roman match. You could do Sami Roman.
Jimmy VJ.
You could do Jimmy VJ. You could do Solo Sikoa v J like this, or Solo Sikoa v Roman, or like Kevin Owens v Roman with Sami taking KO's side. There's like so many ways they can go with this that I just think, and I almost wonder if they don't know what they're going to do with this yet because it's just so every week it's worked so well that it doesn't give you a clear indication of one way or another they're gonna turn with it. They're constantly keeping us wanting to watch more with it being brilliant. And obviously here we had the whole crew, and then you go to Raw and you've just got Roman and Heyman, and it is almost equally as
I was going to ask a question
mesmerizing to watch
to yourselves. Do you think Heyman adds as much now to the bloodline as he did? Do you think he's needed still?
What I think he still adds brilliantly, and he did it particularly on the SmackDown segment here, when they were all joking around and they were talking about Ucey and his family. What he did is he sold the match with Logan Paul. He turned it into let's talk about Logan Paul and started promoting the match. That's what he's good at.
Yeah.
The storyline with the Usos, Sami doesn't need Paul Heyman at all. He doesn't need to cut long promos to get involved with that. But just him, when there's a big match to be sold, tickets for, and he puts over the person and talks about it, I think he still adds a lot in that.
He's talking about the pin.
But I think what's great is it's not the same old shtick. Like when he was with Brock didn't do any talking.
Defending.
And Paul just did the same promo over again. Whereas here, he's not speaking quite as much, but he's actually having it. What he's saying is having more of an effect, I think.
That's a good point.
And also, I think he does offer something to the group in the fact that he is the person that Roman trusts 100%. Like Roman's not sure on Jay. I think Solo's still a bit new. Even Jimmy, maybe. Sami, he's maybe taking the piss out of slightly. Whereas Heyman, like
the wise man,
he's a wise man. He's his go-to guy. Heyman's his go-to guy, and Heyman doesn't have this family bond. It's actually interesting because I think Jay was like, "You're not even part of this family," and I was like, "Well, Heyman's there. He's not a part of the family either." But they didn't really address that. I thought that might come up, but yeah, I just think Sami Zayn is in I don't want to say God mode, but he's not far off it because he's not far off Roman Reigns' level.
And that is a big.
Because everything he does, like just how he like interjects when like Roman's like his most furious, is like, let me just have my say. Like the way he does it is just so good. And yeah, I just think every time Sami Zayn is on TV and Roman Reigns and all of these guys, I'm just can't keep my eyes off it. It is the best thing. Best thing in wrestling currently, definitely, but maybe the best thing I've seen in wrestling in a decade. I reckon it's that good right now. What's going on?
It is great.
Yeah, and obviously we've got some promotion here for the Logan Paul match as well, which obviously takes place on Saturday. That
was
kind of
what-
is a side note to this at the moment, really. But are we looking forward to that match? Has the build been, because the build's been more about the other story? Has the match been? I mean, they had quite a bit of the build the week before, obviously, with Logan knocking.
I mean, it's had a decent enough build, but I think WWE realised that this match is going to sell whatever, just because of the size of Logan Paul and Roman Reigns. People are going to watch it, whatever. But in terms of WWE and storylines going forward, this means nothing.
No.
I can't see this being carried any further. So I don't think they're going to put too much effort into it, because it's just going to be dropped like a sack of shit the moment they come back to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
I think.
you're probably right.
I think it's had enough promo for what it is. If this was going into a main pay-per-view, then probably not. I'd wanted to see Logan Paul more, to be honest with you. Like when he was building up to Mania, it was a much more of a big deal. I just don't think they're as fussed about this, because it's just going to sell anyway.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that.
Yeah, this is a one-off match for what's the show called?
Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel. Yeah, it's a
I am
one-off for Crown
looking
Jewel.
forward to it though.
I'm looking forward to seeing Roman Reigns, but the match itself, I actually couldn't really care.
I look
too
forward to
much
seeing Roman
about.
Reigns, but I think Logan Paul is a good.
I've heard there's a good chance his brother could be involved.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Well.
Which would be interesting. Yeah,
would be interesting. Because the Bloodline are probably going to be involved as well. Sami won't be.
Yeah, so Sami won't, will he?
Because he doesn't go to Saudi Arabia.
What would be interesting if I'm completely wrong and this carried to like Survivor Series and you ended up with the Paul brothers facing off against Usos or something like that.
There is a possibility they do go down that route. But we'll have to see. But yeah, it's interesting, and everything to do with the Bloodline at the moment, nothing really misses. So I'm sure this match will be good. And Logan Paul has delivered in the ring in his previous matches, so that makes me look forward to it. At least.
I'm interested to seeing him. Something I wasn't that interested on seeing, I don't know how you guys feel, was New Day versus Maximum Male Models.
No, this is a bit of filler, wasn't it, really?
Just even the New Day, they're just so stale. It's just I hate to say it because they're one of the best tag teams ever, but this match I was not interested in the slightest.
I think there is a slight plan with the New Day, but I'll get to that in a minute once you.
It's just the fact that, I mean, I think since I wanted Max Dupree, aka LA Knight, to pull away from this, but now he's gone, I'm really not interested in this at all.
Yeah, I think they still serve a purpose as like a bottom of the card.
They're a job at comedy.
To just be, they're a comedy.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know if this was your point, Fisher, but I think the way the commentators were talking, they're building up to New Day v. the Usos.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say, because
they kept talking about New Day's record.
New Day's, but I think it makes so much sense, right? You have to do it because the Usos are very close to the record. I think it's 3-4 weeks away from the record.
Oh, okay.
So after Crown Jewel, it's the New Day's record. The New Day are going to be desperate.
I will be so salty
record.
if New Day beat the Usos here.
I don't think they will
be livid if that happens.
I think they should. I'm not a fan of doing. They shouldn't do a big feud. Because we've seen it millions of times.
A match.
But just a random match on SmackDown where the New Day are desperately trying to get the titles.
Okay.
They do a tag team title match, main event of SmackDown in about 2 weeks' time. New Day v Usos. New Day desperate to stop the record, but it doesn't happen.
Okay, yeah, I definitely buy into that.
That's why I think they're doing all this, because they, like you said, Keeney, they're mentioning it on commentary a lot. New Day have been winning matches to build them towards something. I think that they're going to do New Day.
Did they mention that a lot during this match?
Yeah.
I was so disinterested.
They did it during.
I didn't even hear it.
They did it during the Usos segments, and they've done it during the New Day matches as well. They mentioned it quite a lot in this.
Yeah, they're clearly trying to get a point across. And the thing is, it'll be a banger.
Yeah, I remember it in the Usos.
Those four guys.
Oh,
it will be a fantastic match. Yeah.
The New Day do need to change it up a little bit, though, for sure.
I'd quite like to see them try a heel.
I know.
I really would, just to something different.
I think just set them all off solo. Maybe move Woods to NXT, Kofi SmackDown, Big E Raw. Just keep them all separate brands and let them all just do their solo thing. That's what I would do at this point. I don't think they need to be a team anymore. But don't break up and have one turn on the other, because I don't think that's what they should do with the New Day. I just think they should just separate them as far as they can keep them. They did the right thing with Big E, and then he had a good little run, and then he got injured, and he's now back on SmackDown with them again. So, yeah, I think keep them separate after this, anyway.
After this, we got a Sonya Deville interview talking about Liv, an attack from Liv after this breakout, and we got a no disqualification match announced for this week. So that feud's continuing. At least it's giving a non-title women's feud.
Yeah.
On this show, which is good. We then got Ronda Rousey Open Challenge and a return here that maybe people weren't expecting.
Definitely was not expecting this.
No?
I actually got quite excited, weirdly. So we got the return of Emma.
Well, at least you did, Krusty, because the crowd did not give a shit about it.
I felt a bit bad.
They remember
the reaction was silent.
Yeah,
felt quite bad for her.
It wasn't the loudest pop I've heard, put it that way. And even Ronda in the match, when she was doing the submissions on her, she was like, "No one remembers you." And I was like, normally that's like heel dickhead stuff, but I was like, it's actually true as well.
It's mad that it was about 5 years ago. I suppose if anyone's going to remember, it's going to be.
The thing is, she wasn't a major star even at the time.
She wasn't a major star, but she's a solid wrestler
in NXT,
ring, which I think they need.
I think she's a very good. It's very good that they've got her back. I think SmackDown needed someone like that. And I've heard there's more rumors about other women that could be coming back. I think Triple H now is going on a bit of a women recruitment thing.
Yeah, I think that's sensible. I don't
think he's got enough women that he likes on the roster, to be honest.
Something that I did find very interesting, though, and maybe it's just an opinion of mine, but I thought Emma looked better here against Ronda than Liv had looked against Ronda in the whole feud. She put up a really good fight.
It was, I don't know about better, but she certainly held her own.
I don't mean in terms of Liv's ability. I mean in the way they played the match. It was as if she wasn't getting squashed, which I found quite odd. Whereas I found Liv in the past has looked quite weak against Ronda. Not in an ability way. I think Liv's wrestling's brilliant. I just think they didn't sell her enough.
They needed to give Emma a showcase. If she'd have just come back and got squashed in 2 minutes by Ronda, I'd have been like, that is not.
I did find it weird when Ronda was her first return. I was like, this isn't going to be too good, is it? It's a guaranteed loss, isn't it? Straight away.
But it's fine if you lose, but you put up a fight against someone like Ronda Rousey. And this is what they did. And like she did a really nice suplex. There was a tarantula submission. The crowd got into it towards the end because she was good.
Yeah,
that's what I did notice. They had no pop whatsoever when she first come out. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what role she plays going forward in the division, because does she get another match with Rousey? What's the plan there? Is she going to be? Are they going to bring in a tag team partner for her or something like that? Or
we did see later on a little interaction between Ronda and Shayna backstage.
Yes.
That was actually my prediction. I think last week I said I thought Shayna might be the person to answer the challenge.
Yeah.
They are going with Ronda and Shayna on screen. They did it a little bit in the Liv build up, and I actually think they should go for the tag titles. Even with Ronda as champion, have Ronda's double champ, make her seem. But I think Ronda and Shayna as a tag team, go for the tag titles.
It's very interesting that she's sort of working with her now, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember who they took out backstage.
It was Natalya. So I think it's a bit of a face turn for Natalya, because I'm assuming we're going to get Natalya versus Shayna after that.
Maybe she'll team with Emma.
Yeah, you might get a tag team feud with Natalya.
No, not Natalya and Emma. I mean,
what's wrong with that? Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I think this was, just go back to Emma quickly. I think it was a very odd decision to return her in this way as an open challenge opposition for Ronda Rousey. I think it's a weird thing to do. I think for Emma, I mean, it's easy in hindsight given her reaction from the crowd, the pop, but for me, that's someone you bring back with a couple of video packages and like debuting next week, Emma, and that kind of thing. Like, they do with a lot of people. That I think would have made more sense for Emma, and maybe not bring her in against the most, the dominant woman on the roster in a title match. I just think it's an odd place to bring her back. But happy
I thought
she's
it was
back.
a very good showcase for her. I think if you'd have put her in the ring against someone else that people didn't care as much about, it would have been even worse. You said her reaction was bad, so putting her in the ring with arguably one of the most popular stars, or known at least, and they put on a solid match. But yeah, it's cool anyway to see the roster growing in the women's division.
Yeah, exactly. We had another surprise. Well, I say surprise. There was another slot on the show where we thought there might be a surprise come in with the third member of Hit Row to take on Legado del Fantasma. And speaking of things falling flat, for me, when they brought out Shinsuke as their partner, I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I think we feel similar here, Keeney.
Yes.
I think it's time to get skiddy.
Yeah, I'm ready for a skid.
Ready for a skid, Mark? Let's double skid Fisher all over the floor. I agree. When Shinsuke came out, I was like, it's just randomly throwing him in. This felt
it's just a random face guy to go.
Very Vince McMahon WWE. Yeah. I thought we'd got away from this. And the thing that really is skid marky, Legado del Fantasma has been built up to be this quite formidable force, just lost to a random thrown together trio of Hit Row and Shinsuke. Where I understand you want to put over Shinsuke as one of your stars, but this just didn't do anything for me at all. I think you've just shat on Legado del Fantasma, which is crazy.
Yeah. I would have, if this is what they were planning, Shinsuke was the plan. I don't know whether that was always their plan, but I just would have not had them win. There's a lot more promise and potential in Legado del Fantasma than there is Top Dollar and Ashante, the Adonis and BFAB, and
I'd have just had them cheat to win. Even if you have Zelina get involved.
Yeah,
or something
I'm not saying they should win clearly. I just think to have Legado lose
tag team.
Basically their first match. Is this their first match on SmackDown?
Might be second. Fisher will know.
They won a match, but it was their first match as a trio. I think it was Escobar's first match, technically. I think the tag team had a match before.
Yeah.
Against Hit Row, I think. I think they beat Hit Row already. Yeah.
So Fisher just listened to us skidding all over that. I know he feels differently, but I
totally get your points. For me, as soon as Nakamura come out, I was like, well, they're clearly going to win, because when you put a random surprise opponent, it's a solo star teaming with someone. The baby faces like that, they always go over the hills. It's just
if it's Drew McIntyre Fish, I've got not got a problem. It's Shinsuke who's not been booked for a few weeks. He's done nothing, because last time we saw him, Gunter was smacking him around the ring. Like what I want to see
from this is, because I think Wild or Mendoza, one of the either Cruz del Toro or Mendoza took the pin. I can't remember. One of the Legado took the pin. It wasn't Escobar, and what I would like to see happen is, off the back of this, you get a Santos Escobar Shinsuke Nakamura one-on-one match, which then you can have Escobar win, which makes Legado look strong. That's what I would like. Whether they do that or not, we don't know. If they don't, and this week it's not mentioned ever again, and Nakamura doesn't team with Hit Row ever again, and it just disappears, then your skid mark is definitely validated, and I'll be like, yeah, fair enough. But if they do more with it, then I think it's not that bad that Nakamura, because Legado did already beat Hit Row, which I didn't think you'd realised anyway. But so they're kind of 1-1 now. They're one each. So I think there's got to be something, a third match maybe. But I can see them also doing, and I don't necessarily want this, but I can see them doing Zelina Vega and BFAB in a match as well, because they've been involved in this and not actually wrestled.
I think that makes sense.
As long as it's a mixed tag, it wouldn't be too bad. But if they do a one-on-one match,
I think even one-on-one, it makes sense for them as the two women.
Can BFAB wrestle?
I'm assuming she's been training like their ass off.
We don't know, do we? We don't
know. But Zelina Vega can wrestle. We know that. Yeah. Whereas BFAB was against Electra Lopez, he wasn't the strongest in ring either. When they fought, she's improved. But anyway, that's a side point. I think another reason that this is the skid mark is, I think there was a few speculation about, who's this mystery partner? Is it going to be? I think maybe you said Carmelo Hayes last week, and that was there was a few rumors of someone joining Hit Row, and I was getting really excited about that, and I was like, and then Shinsuke just dropped my excitement levels, and then the result, I was like, oh god, just a double
I
whammy.
I get it from that point of view
disappointment.
because they teased it being someone from outside the company, and then it was Nakamura. I think as well, because they already had a return just before this on the show in Emma. If they hadn't had that, I think it would have been even more noticeable that they didn't have anything, because I was kind of expecting a big return on this show there, or call up or something. Obviously, we got one with Emma, so it kind of made up for it. But yeah, like I get where you're coming from, because they built it to be something that it wasn't. It's a bit of a Tony Khan one, that where he books something mystery, and then it's only this person. You know what I mean? And it's not as exciting as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Random dig at Tony Khan, but that's happened a lot. It's happened a lot in AEW where they do that.
Yeah. We got Karrion Kross had a match, which I don't think it happens very often on just a standard match on SmackDown.
I think he needed one.
Yeah, I think it's fine, and he just beats Madcap Moss in just a straightforward.
This was a boring match.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Madcap Moss needs like a new ring gear or something. He's got the most generic ring gear in wrestling history. He needs to just be a bit more exciting. But yeah, Karrion Kross got the win ahead of his match with McIntyre at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, he got on the mic, wouldn't let go of the submission. That bit was good.
He really needed that. I felt, to boost him up again prior to his rematch with Drew.
I really want him to shave his head, by the way. I don't like him with hair.
It's a bit weird.
I did prefer him bald.
I think it makes him look more badass bald.
I do agree with you. Yeah.
That's just a weird side note, but shave your head, Karrion, if you're listening. And then I don't know if there's anything else before we move on to the final segment on the show.
There was one thing I wanted to just mention: LA Knight and Ricochet sort of having a bit of a back and forth and setting up a match, which is happening. This is happening tomorrow. I think that's a good little feud for LA Knight. I quite like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the idea of that.
Yeah, and obviously we've got the Intercontinental title match tomorrow between Gunther and Ray, which was also, they had a little segment on this show as well. Just Gunther giving him a chop.
Ray took a
he's going to fly across the ring from one of them tomorrow, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah, that'll be a good match as well.
That'll be amazing, I reckon.
But what do we make of Bray Wyatt at the end of the show? And probably most importantly, getting interrupted by Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy, who I thought was Colonel Kentucky at first.
Yeah, so it's part of that sort of Bray Wyatt mysterious stuff where we're not really 100% sure, when everyone's speculating it could be this, it could be that. You know, I've seen some people say it's another version of Bray. He's kind of feuding with himself. It's like his demons and his, and all that kind of stuff. Then I've seen some people suggest it is Bo Dallas or it's someone else from the outside.
Most likely, isn't it? I think.
Obviously, I think the uncle thing is a reference to his uncle Barry Windham, who had a blonde mustache and looked like that a bit. That bit is to do with that, but who knows? They did sort of tease that it was going to be revealed, because they keep saying who is Uncle Howdy on Raw, didn't they? So it feels like they were going to get something on SmackDown, but he's also at Crown Jewel on Saturday, Bray, which is interesting because he's not got a match. So I'm assuming we're going to get a
bigger place to announce something.
I think we're going to get a big segment with Bray on Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm excited to see.
But I'm excited to see
really
what it is. What do you guys? Who do you guys think what it could be? It's really intriguing, but
I think it's Bo Dallas. Nothing's changed my mind. Otherwise, these don't want to make sense to me. Other than it being someone I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if you've got any ideas, Chris. You've got any insider knowledge?
It's all been video packages though. So as Fisher said, it could easily be just Bray. Again.
Yeah. Because some people said it sounds exactly like Bray as well when he's talking, but then Bray and Bo sound similar.
Uncle Howdy.
But okay, but all right. Say it's Bray against himself. What's the payoff to that?
Exactly. That is the problem with that. Unless you bring more people, more characters in, I don't really.
It's just going back to Firefly Funhouse, whatever it's called.
I hope it is a separate person. I don't want it to be another version of Bray, because, like you say, I want there to be a feud with I want there to be a match at the end of this.
Yeah, I want to see Bray Wyatt wrestle. Yeah.
You want him to feud with himself?
No, I don't. I don't want him to feud with himself. I don't know how we can. I don't know how you can feud with yourself. I mean, if anyone can, Bray Wyatt can, but I still don't know how you do it.
He's had a match on his own in the ring.
Yeah,
You could do a cinematic match. You could do a cinematic match where he feuds with himself.
yeah, I'm
And,
still
probably,
not
and
that
he'd probably
keen on
make
that.
it work. But yeah, I want it to be somebody.
Wonder how
I'd
he's
like
in
it to be
ring now.
I mean, he was never elite level in ring.
No, I used to enjoy him though.
I think he was better when he wasn't the Fiend. I think when he was Bray Wyatt, he was good.
Pre-Fiend days, he was good, but I didn't like
The Fiend was a hard
wrestling.
character in ring to pull off because it was
to
just
pull off, to face everything.
It was
yeah.
He no sold everything, and his offense was mainly like the claw,
Just
Sister
a big
Abigail,
punch.
punches, holds. It wasn't anything exciting. So hopefully, if he wrestles and he's like wrestling as his character, he could be really exciting.
Let me in.
Shall we move on to Raw?
Let's move on to Raw.
Yeah. I want to start with the main event, I guess.
Yeah, because we've got an
Okay.
unexpected title change.
Yeah. Where did you guys see this one come in?
No.
Alexa
not
and
at all.
Asuka are your
I didn't,
new
and it's-
tag team champions.
It's made me
No.
question what's going to happen at Crown Jewel because you've got Bailey versus Belair and you've got a rematch here. So it's very hard to
Is
predict.
it time for a big return? Do you think?
Oh, you're thinking Sasha.
I am.
Well,
What
I
did you
can't
say that?
understand why they would do this. I just don't get it. And I think if Sasha and Naomi come back, it needs to be as heels.
Mm.
So just because of what they did, I think it just makes sense to come back quite arrogant.
I wonder, and it's probably less likely with Triple H in charge than Vince. I wonder if they've just lost faith in Damage Control because they have been quite flat, I would say.
I've seen a lot of
few
criticism of
weeks.
Damage Control online.
I
I
and
just wonder if
it's
Triple
not
H has just
working.
thought this isn't working. I'm going to take the
The
belts off
bubble
them.
has gone a bit.
I'm going to break them up. And
I don't actually think it is that. I don't think they're going to break them up. I think this is all building to War Games, and I think he wanted to change the titles to mix it up. I'm not, without giving my predictions. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to go for myself yet, but I have a feeling Bailey may beat Bianca on Saturday.
But then wouldn't it make more
And-
sense for them to be tag champs and have the whole
Or
group?
yeah, you could do it that way round. But my thinking is
You put all the belts
that
on the
Bailey's then like
line.
at War Games, I want my belt, and then all the belts get put on the line
Yeah.
in a big match at War Games, perhaps with other people involved, perhaps not. I'm thinking maybe Candice LeRae on the babyface side. Nikki
Well,
Cross
we
on the
did
heel
see
side.
we did see Bailey talk to Nikki Cross, didn't we, backstage?
Well, yeah, and it didn't lead to anything in the main event, which made me think that there's going to be more to that going forward.
Yeah, that made me
Um,
think Nikki Cross might join them for War Games. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think obviously Candice LeRae would be the obvious person to join the Faces.
yeah.
So I think
that's a good 4v4.
I think that's the 4v4 for War Games. I know last week I speculated, Keeney, that Nikki Cross could have a faction of her own with Alba
Oh
Fyre
yeah,
and
that
Doudrop.
was.
But I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening. Well, it's not going to happen because we saw Alba Fyre on NXT.
Yeah,
if Alba
she
Fyre was gone from NXT, I'd think, well, she's getting called up. I could see that happening, but Alba Fyre's still on NXT, so I don't think that was more wishful thinking. I think on my part, Krusty. Last week I said when Nikki come back, because she attacks both the face and heel side, I thought maybe she's got her own motive and her own faction behind her. And I suggested maybe put her back with Doudrop and then bring in Alba Fyre, like the three Scottish women together,
That could be
try and
awesome.
take over, which would have been a cool faction, but I don't think that's happening. It was just an idea. more than anything
No,
else.
I think Alba Fire's staying put, and we'll talk
Yeah.
more about that in the NXT segment later.
Yeah, but a decent title match and a title change. And
Yeah, sure.
and
Surprise.
we also got the opener.
I thought
where
the match was
Belair
really good,
beat
by the way.
Nikki Cross as well in the opener. That just kind of links in with all this as well.
Yeah,
So-
I thought both matches were pretty good. I thought the main event was really good, and I love the fact that they let Asuka and Io wrestle a lot, because in the
Yeah.
previous matches between these factions, they've kind of kept them apart, but here they really went for it,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I thought some of the tag team wrestling, even from the faces who aren't really a tag team, like the double moves and stuff from Asuka and Bliss, looked quite good at times. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good match, and obviously got a Bailey to belly off the table thing as well at the end, which was pretty cool. on
Yeah.
Belair.
And we just got also got kind of earlier in the show, we got a bit more of a serious side to Alexa, where she cut like a very serious promo to the camera, which then led to this title match in the main event. I just quite nice to see that serious side to Alexa. And I think any kind of predictions of Alexa joining Bray, I think are probably squashed now. I don't think there's any chance of that happening.
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I think Liv Morgan's more likely, if anybody, out of the women. For reasons I suggested last week. She's got a bit psycho crazy. If it's Bo Dallas, then there's a link with like Bo Dallas and Liv. So I think anyway. But yeah, like Alexa doesn't seem to be anywhere near that character. She's still got the doll sometimes, but like it's just a prop at this point.
Yeah. What should we move on to next? This is actually quite a bit to talk about from Raw. I've got a few things I could go into, but I don't actually know what's the best one to go into next.
I don't know.
Well, shall we start with our tribal chief, because we've already talked about him already. He appeared. Again, we mentioned already. Ucey come up. He said, "Okay, let's get serious." Then Paul Heyman. He basically was like, This is beneath me. This match. I'm not going to type this up. I don't care." But Paul will hype it up for you.
Yeah.
Paul hyped it up. And then we had The Miz come out.
And at first I was like, why? But then I thought this was quite smart, because obviously The Miz and Logan Paul were tag team and when they said that, I was like, of course that's why The Miz is here. It makes total sense. And then
I love how Miz was like, I acknowledge you, start off with. Like, just be really like
sucking up to him, plan to help him.
Miz is great as a character, isn't he?
Yeah, and then I love the fact that Roman knocked Miz out to show Logan Paul that he's not the only one that can knock someone out. I actually thought this was really, really well done. I thought this sent a good message. It was
really good.
Simple segment. And it was cool to see Roman on Raw as well, because he does have both belts. So technically he should be on both shows sometimes.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
And this Raw did feel quite star-studded compared to recent weeks. Since Ray moved over, since Edge hasn't been on the show, it's felt KO's not been on much. There's been a few weeks where it's been a bit like, okay, you've got Seth, you've got Judgment Day, you've got a few people here and there, Bianca, but like Asuka and Bliss have been missing. Edge hasn't been on the show, like I said. Orton's not obviously around. There's quite a lot of people on Raw not on the show that are big stars. So
Cody,
I think Brock being there this week as well, and this and everything really brought this show up at a level, I thought.
It did. And what I feel like I'm a broken record, but I say this a lot, is the overlapping flowing storylines throughout the night. So then this led on to Miz being in the doctor's thing with his ice pack on his jaw. The Seth rally winding him up because they were going to have a match, and Ali goads him into having a match later on. Ali beats The Miz with some interference from Dexter. Was it Dexter or was it?
Yeah.
Gargano dressed as Dexter.
No, that was the week before.
So I get it mixed up, yeah.
It was Dexter. They were fighting out by the announce table, and then Dexter appears, and then the security guard just chased him. I don't know if you saw the security guard, by the way, but he leapt over that barricade. Some athlete.
Well, he's clearly a performance center.
I was like, bloody hell, it's not like their normal security guards. And then that led to obviously Ali getting the win, which is fine. And Ali, if he's going to face Rollins, needs some wins as well to build him up.
Yeah,
so I think you were critical last week of him losing because he lost, didn't he? Was it to Theory?
Yeah, he did lose.
Yeah, because so this kind of makes amends for that.
Exactly. But this is all leading to, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because I actually loved this. What did you make of Johnny Gargano's big reveal?
I love this as well, and I know Krusty said he wasn't keen on it.
I didn't really like this.
No, so this is where Krusty's going to disagree with us two now.
Tell me why you liked it. See if you can win me over.
I just thought Johnny Gargano was hilarious.
I thought the reenactments were brilliant.
Yeah, the reenactments and him being like, this is a bad actor. And okay, some of like the storytelling's a bit like you really have to stretch your imagination to believe stuff. But I just think Johnny Gargano plays this, and I love like how they did it with the sit-down interview with Byron Saxton, and then reenactments of what happened, and Yeah, I just thought it was. I just thought it was funny. I like you know, if you listen to this podcast enough, I loved Gargano's humor on NXT. So it's probably not surprised that I enjoyed this kind of thing because it's right up my street.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really enjoyed it, and I thought Johnny was really good in this. Byron Saxton was quite a good sort of person to play opposite it as well.
But I will say the story itself is quite like a stretch.
I think that's the problem.
Story.
The fact that I am a bit bored of this storyline now, I think isn't helping.
I think the storyline's pretty poor between Loomis and Miz, but this at least made it different to what it was, because I wasn't expecting it to be about that. I thought they were just going to make it.
Do you think there's a chance that actually Loomis is with the Miz, as he's or Miz as of this point starts paying Loomis again, and maybe again actually Ciampa's out for a while, isn't he? But I was thinking Ciampa and Gargano be Miz and Loomis, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't know where it's heading. I mean, the thing is with Loomis, and you know, it's like we say about the Bray Wyatt stuff, it's got to lead to a match at the end of it. At least with Bray Wyatt, you know it's going to be good at the end of it. With Dexter Loomis, it's the kind of same thing all the time with him. Doesn't say much, and then he hasn't actually wrestled yet. He's been doing this for like 2 months now. He was meant to have a match against the Miz, and then the Miz obviously attacked him on the entrance ramp, and we didn't get the match.
Yeah, I did think the payoff of the Miz v Dexter Loomis was not worth this 2-month storyline.
Exactly. So where do we end with this? Is Dexter actually going to wrestle? Like, what's the point of this?
Well, I think now, and I actually don't know if this was always the case. I think they might have actually called a bit of an audible here, and maybe the outcome now is Gargano v the Miz. That's the end goal of all of this, and Loomis is just a pawn in this storyline, which I don't think was always the case, but I think it is.
I think we'll definitely get
now.
Gargano v Miz, but what does Loomis then do though? Like, do you know what I mean? Is he going to be on the roster? Is he just going to wrestle? Is he going to be doing this forever, or is he going to go after somebody else? Or like, what's the end goal with Loomis? Because he's not a particularly interesting in-ring wrestler anyway, is he? But you've got to do. They could bring Indy Hartwell in.
Yeah, the way to make Dexter Loomis a bit more relevant is to bring Indy Hartwell in and have Index
especially
again.
If you want to position him as a babyface, because at the moment he's not a babyface.
No, he's
stalking someone.
Well, also he's taken bribe money from the biggest heel on the roster. He's been, intruding his house with his children inside. Like, he's been abducting people. He got arrested on NXT. Like, everything he's doing is heel. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind if he actually floated around with Miz almost permanently.
Yeah, I think that could be his landing point here. Is he just ends up being the Miz's lackey? Because the Miz tends to have one, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it could be doing worse, because then Loomis doesn't need to talk, because Miz is obviously an elite level talker. He doesn't need to have loads of matches, because he can just be like
just
his bodyguard
in people's houses.
Yeah, like, well, I can see how they turn this around, and somewhere down the line we have a segment where Loomis is babysitting Miz's kids, and Miz is happy about it. Miz is, oh yeah, come and babysit my kids. Come in my house. Oh, you can have a key to the house, and like just make it a joke of everything that happened before.
Yeah, a bit like what Johnny Gargano was doing almost before as well.
Yeah,
because he was unsure about it. It wasn't.
I want to bring the fun. I did see a part of the segment though where they showed Gargano and Loomis having thumbs up. I missed that. I want to bring it back.
Yeah, I know. I like it. I like
bring that back.
I liked how he had a video, a voice recording of their phone call, and it's just a Miz talking because Loomis doesn't talk. So it's just
that bit was quite funny, and it ripped him, didn't he?
Yeah. I enjoyed that. But yeah, anyway, I really wanted to mention that thing.
I thought it
wasn't sure
really
on your guys'
segment,
views,
and I liked it.
I even watched it twice. It was all right. I just thought it's the story that is not quite grasped me.
The story itself wasn't the best, but I thought the execution from Gargano was superb. So,
let's move on to. Should we move on to Blonde Streak Seth Rollins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Being back.
Let's get Krusty in a better mood.
Because let's talk about something that I don't think anyone's going to dispute. What a match this was! The match of probably the best match we've had this week on WWE TV.
100%.
Rollins and Theory, absolute banger of a match. Bit of a random one, really, because it's almost like two heels against each other. But Rollins was like so over here as a face. It's just at some point you've got to turn him. Like,
he has to go face, doesn't he, Rollins?
The thing is, his character doesn't quite work as a face, does it?
No, I know.
Yeah, but the crowd love him.
But I think he just needs to carry on. It's almost like I know we're sort of flipping to a different brand, but MJF, as heel as you can get, but people absolutely love him.
Yeah.
I just don't think Seth at the moment should turn face. I just don't think he would benefit from it. I think it would be a slow decline to him being unpopular again.
You might well be right,
and that's what happened.
It's just interesting because it's the dynamic here. Because normally he wrestles against faces, but he wrestled against here, who like probably the most hated heel on Raw in theory, and it just made him even more popular. But the match itself was so
cracking, wasn't it?
Good. I
think Theory needed it as well to give him a bit of credibility back. I know he lost, but it really did put him over as a credible wrestler.
Yeah, and the reason he lost mainly was because he got a bit cocky towards the end, tried to do the pedigree on Rollins, and then it got reversed. So I thought that was a good way of doing the finish as well, because Theory got quite a lot of offense. He got some 2 or 3 near falls in the match, but in the end he got too big for his boots, and Rollins ended up beating him, which is obviously the right decision, because Rollins now with this US title will surely go on a bit of a winning streak, I'd imagine.
He should, yeah.
I just think he's one of those guys who could face heel or face, and it just works because he's just arrogant, isn't he? Like you could put him against Karrion Kross, for instance, and just have him laughing at him.
Yeah, and the thing is, the crowd will cheer Rollins against a heel, but they'll also might boo him against the face, so it kind of works.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? And they'll chant his music, whoever he's facing.
Yeah, I just love how he orchestrates the crowd. I love it so much.
He plays into it, and it just works. Yeah. He's sort of right in the middle, isn't he? Of
he's just an expert at doing what he does. He's probably the best at doing what he does out there, and just amazing. And again, we're talking character work in ring. Phenomenal, because he's got a banger here, and it's not the first, it won't be the last banger he puts on this month, probably, let alone this year. So he, Rollins and Ali will be a really good match.
I'm excited for that.
Obviously, really I think there's no real chance of Ali beating him, but it will still be a great match.
I think the match could be absolutely incredible, actually. I think it could be one of the best. If they let it go, it really could be a like top 10 match of the year. I honestly do think so.
You might have just set up a segue there, because speaking of let it go, Triple H wasn't letting Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley go at each other.
I thought we were going into Frozen then or something. I was like,
but Brock
Disney
and
segment.
Bobby, so they were meant to have a one of those side-by-side backstage interviews, and Brock doesn't turn up for it and just comes out to the ring, which I think fits in perfectly to how Brock would act.
Big Bob.
And then Lashley's like, well, I'm not, screw this, I'm getting involved, and they just go at each other, just brawling. That is how you build this match up. Don't have them talk, don't have them.
I love the fact
some clever storylines, have them beat the crap out of each other.
But yeah, I think that's what ruined the last feud, is we were all looking forward to the match at the Rumble, and then it was all around Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns getting involved, and it kind of ruined the match. And it was obviously I had a title on the line as well. This non-title, no one else involved. It's just two beasts going at it, brawling. The only thing that confused me in this segment is I swear Triple H said the match is off at one point.
He said if they told him if they touch each other again tonight, the match is off.
Right. Because I actually thought he said the match is off, and I was like, well, it's not, is it? You're not going to call the match off, are you, Triple H? It's a huge match.
What do you guys make of Duke Hudson and Von Wagner breaking the fight up?
Well, they were obviously
there was a few NXT guys, weren't there?
Yeah, they were there for the main event.
Strange.
So I think Von Wagner's been on main event 2-3 weeks in a row now, so he's obviously on their eyes for a call up.
It's just so random. I mean,
do you remember
I want to have pushed him.
Do you remember when he was on SmackDown as Adam Pearce's Adam Pearce's security for 1 week, really randomly, and then never again?
I think they definitely like him because he keeps popping up, but God knows why. But
more on Von Wagner to come.
Yeah,
but yeah, just a good brawl, and probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. I think of Crown Jewel, Brock and Bobby. I think it'll just be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
I think the card's pretty good again. I do. I think it's good.
It's a good card.
The pay-per-view cards Triple H puts together are usually pretty decent. They're shorts, well, short,
this
2.5 hours.
Longer.
They're snappy. There's no, there's rarely a filler match. Is there really? Most matches have a strong purpose to be there, either a proper feud or a proper title match, and a few weeks of build. Whereas I think some of Vince's and Tony Khan AW is their pay-per-view cards have a few filler matches just to get everyone on the cards. Whereas I think Triple H is more snappy, just the matches that matter, and he'll leave off big guys off the pay-per-view. Like Seth isn't on Crown Jewel, doesn't need to be because there's no real need for him to be on there. He could have thrown Seth and Ali on there and it probably would have been fine, but he hasn't, unless this is where Fisher tells me he has.
No, I think there's already 8 matches. I can't see him adding a 9th. And as far as I know, I haven't seen anything about Seth being in Saudi Arabia because obviously I've seen pictures of certain people, but I haven't seen him go over there.
No. Anything else from Raw? Carl Anderson beat Damian Priest.
I think that feud has gone a bit flat. I know we've got the match to come. I was a little bit disappointed we didn't get a reveal here for the woman to even up the odds.
Yeah, and why didn't Luke Gallows fight Damian Priest? I think I said last week. Because we had Balor v AJ, we had Anderson v Dominic, those four had been involved. And then I was like, okay, the two left are Gallows and Priest, the two bigger guys, and then there was Anderson again, not Gallows.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit odd. Anderson probably delivers a better match, to be fair.
I was going to say, I think they like Anderson in the ring, don't they?
Yeah. And he won by roll-up here, which I think he did need because obviously he lost the week before.
Yeah. I'm actually enjoying this feud.
I am, but I do think the reason I think I was a bit disappointed was because they teased so heavily last week someone countering Rhea.
Yeah, but do you think that's going to come at a biggest time?
It'll come at Crown Jewel because they're having the 6-person tag.
Yeah.
It's obviously coming at Crown Jewel now, but
who do you think it is?
I'm not sure.
I
think there's a good chance it's Charlotte. I think
so.
I want it to be Charlotte.
I think
that will be a massive pop. You wouldn't waste that on a.
I think Beth is obviously an option because of what they did to her. But other than that, I don't know who else it could be. Really, I can't see it being anyone but those two.
Emma.
Unless it's someone else that was returning. There's been some rumored other returns. It's going
to be Charlotte. Sure.
The problem is the other people returning that they've rumored
Billy
returning.
I'd love to see Iconic
to Rhea. Yeah.
I think it's got to be Charlotte, and I want it to be Charlotte because it's something different. I don't want Charlotte back as Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I think that's important. Bringing Charlotte back as a face with the club is a proper change. That's something that I can get behind. I look forward to seeing Charlotte all of a sudden.
Yeah. Because I won't if she just
away from the title pitch.
If they bring it back in the exact same role in the exact same top of the card, it's just going to get boring straight away, like instantly. So 100%. That's the way to bring her back.
And I just love the club. I love them. It's such a random return that I'm so into. It's just good. I just get really excited when they come out. I don't know why.
No, they are good.
Do a little move. Too sweet.
Yeah, good. I think it's what AJ needed as well because he was kind of floundering a bit.
So AJ definitely needed.
He was in trouble.
Yeah, bring back the OC. Yeah, perfect.
There's one more thing.
We had a Corbin JBL
segment.
Two. Yeah, Corbin and JBL.
JBL's good on the mic, isn't he?
He is really good. He's a really good heel. He's always has been.
Yeah.
Corbin needed this. Talking about people needing things, Corbin needed a real strong talker for him. And he's finally looking strong, which is what I wanted from Corbin.
Have we been enjoying the promos where people mention Truth a few times and then Truth comes out?
Yeah,
that's like his new thing.
Yeah, I love it.
So he's on, and we'll get to
I feel bad
Truth
because
a bit
he
later.
got injured on NXT.
Yeah, he had a bad end to the week, but he's had last few weeks. He's been brilliant at Truth. He's been everywhere, and he comes out here. Of course, he's going to get destroyed by Corbin, but it's just so
great.
Good.
He's still on TV.
Truth, and I think for you, Krusty, seeing Corbin look so strong at the moment, he's really looking like, kind of bit more like he was before
when he was the lone wolf.
King, Happy, all these versions of Corbin. I wouldn't mind him changing his ring gear a bit because he still dressed like Happy.
Change his ring gear, change his music a bit more.
His ring gear should go back to Baron Corbin, which he is now Baron Corbin again. But go back to the dark clothing and shave his head. I think
more metally music rather than like
or just change him again to make him more like maybe JBL him up a bit. It could be quite funny, I suppose.
Even if he wore like a cowboy hat and just was ridiculous.
Make him look quite manly. But at the moment he just looks a bit mad, doesn't he?
But he's winning matches and winning with end of days.
They're just testing the waters, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm just happy to see end of days again. And such a good move.
Yeah. There was one other match on Raw to talk about, which was the Triple Street fight. I know
his dress up was hilarious.
I thought this is brilliant, fancy dress.
It was funny.
Riddle was hilarious being Ezekiel. I thought that was hilarious in itself. But then obviously Gable and Otis, the Patrick Swayze thing that he did, and that was really good.
Yeah, and it was a funny old match, was it? They always have to every Halloween.
I think it's a fun gimmick matches. I have no problem with this.
There's no harm, and
it's not everyone's cup of tea. This
is the right spot for it. These guys, I feel a bit weird that Riddle's gone from the most serious feud of his life to like dressing as Ezekiel and RKO in a pumpkin off of Otis's head. Like it's a real gear change for Riddle.
But like I said last week, one thing about Riddle is I think he's showing his versatility.
Yeah,
he's showing he's such a great comedy character, but he can also be a really good serious wrestler. And I think that can give you a long career in WWE.
I think he's just biding his time now, isn't he, until Orton comes back. That I think that
it
might
does
be it
feel
now.
Like we're just waiting for Orton.
He's had his big Seth feud.
I hope Orton comes back soon by WrestleMania.
And I think this is probably just leading to an Elias Riddle feud at some point. Because
Elias is already getting fed up with
getting annoyed, isn't he?
Elias is eventually going to smash him with a guitar. Eventually,
Elias is a heel again.
Elias is better as a heel.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on a face as a face.
I think
Ezekiel
okay
was a face. It was good.
he was just bland. He was just no character. Apart his character was I'm not Elias.
I love how you still mentioned a lot there, Ezekiel.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think they have missed the trick with not doing a segment with Owens since he's come back as Elias.
Yeah.
I can't believe they haven't just gone, what are you doing back? Like, I was right all along, wasn't I? And Elias is just like, yep. Like, I would love to see that. But I thought this was a bit of fun on the show. It gives it a bit of variety as well. I thought the show had a bit of everything. I thought that was quite good. They main evented and started it with women's matches as well, which I liked. They had like serious promos, the brawl between Lesnar and Lashley. You had Roman. Then you had this fun match. You had a bit of everything in there. The Johnny stuff, which was really different. I liked Raw this week more than the last couple.
Yeah, there's just one other thing from Raw. I had MVP just got a little promo backstage saying he's got a surprise for Braun Strowman this Friday. Any idea what his surprise is for Braun Strowman?
No, and to be honest with you, I'm not really excited about this.
Cool.
This match, get Braun to beat Omos and get it over and done with.
Do you care anymore, Krusty?
Move Braun on to someone else.
I think this is literally just for the crown jewel, a one-off match. And then we can get him into something a bit more serious, hopefully, for the build.
But what would you do with Braun or Omos after this?
I think Braun's got a few options, but I don't know.
What does Omos do?
Omos, I don't know what to do with.
I'm afraid nothing. He's not charismatic enough.
No. Braun at least has a personality and is really good in the ring, like for a big guy. Omos doesn't have either of them.
Yeah, I just think Braun. I just know what we do with Braun because I don't think I want him near the world title picture. And I don't know what.
I think a feud with someone like Cross or someone like that would work. I think a feud with Gunther could potentially work.
Maybe. Okay.
I know he's a big destructive machine, but he doesn't have to win. I don't think.
No.
I think you could even have him feud with the Bloodline, but not obviously win the title of Reigns. But you could have him destroy Sami Zayn,
Solo Sikoa, stuff like
that. I think there's a few options there down the line with him. Obviously, there could be something with Bray as well.
I'd even be quite happy seeing him possibly go up against Seth. but have Seth go over him, but with like a real just about managed to get it or an underhanded tactic. He can still look like an absolute beast and absolutely destroy someone like Seth in the ring, but then they just get a cheeky stomp and there you go, it's done.
I've got a good storyline idea for Braun.
Yeah.
Maximum male models.
Well, he could tear through them, or as a model. You mean?
Has he already done that?
As a model, yeah, I think he did destroy him. Didn't he?
Well, when they're doing a catwalk and he just ran through the middle of them.
Oh yeah, he did.
Over.
He did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I think he should become part of.
Yeah, that would be funny.
You should replace Maxine. Anyway, let's move on to NXT.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we should start with R-Truth here, because this was built from last week. R-Truth v Grayson Waller, and we didn't really get a match at all here. Really, it's not a lot happened, and I think it was just before it went to the adverts is when R-Truth messed up his suicide dive and kind of did he clip his head on the ring apron as he fell, or like landed funnily or something? It all seemed a bit off, didn't it? He landed.
I believe his knee buckled as he jumped or something like that. I don't think it was actually his landing. I think it was when he went over the rope and jumped.
I'm sure his head either clipped the apron or was very close to, because I thought he'd knocked his head at first. But then the match called off, and R-Truth at his age could be out for a while. I really hope not, because I've really enjoyed him the last few weeks.
The thing is with R-Truth is you can have him on TV without wrestling. How many matches does he have?
He could quite easily come out with a cast on his leg and be hilarious still, couldn't he?
Exactly.
Yes, he could, yeah.
He rarely ever wrestled. I mean, look at the 24/7 stuff. He didn't have a match for a long time when he was doing that.
I'm glad that
still
sort of disappeared.
I know. He made it good, but, you know.
I feel a bit bad for the wrestlers that had that.
I mean, the title still technically
This is a bit random, but I'd have kept the. I know it's going a bit off track, but I'd have honestly just kept that title and just had like random filler matches before the title, but actual matches. So not being silly, just give people proper matches that wouldn't necessarily get a match.
I said it before. I would have had Sami Zayn win the title and him hold it up like it's the biggest belt in the world, and amongst the bloodline, and then the bloodline protecting him from being cashed in on, and that's how the title dies.
Actually. Yeah, that's how the title dies.
Roman's like, get rid of that shit. I don't want that in my group. And and then
eventually, at first they're like loving it.
Yeah, but I just love the idea of everyone holding their belts and Sami Zayn with his 24/7 title in the back. Like, yes, I'm part of this.
I think that would have been genius, but they chose not to.
I think that's what they should have done.
I know. I saw Dana Brooke she did an interview saying she wants to make it into a women's Intercontinental title belt, which isn't a bad idea, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. It's better than having 24/7. Anyway, that is one hell of a segue from NXT. But Waller and Truth's match. It didn't go very long. And also, Waller tried to save it afterwards.
I quite enjoyed his like off the cuff promo, clearly to be like, look what I did, sort of thing. I
thought it was good stuff from him there. He improvised well.
What do you guys make of the opening and then main event of the show, where we had Braun Breaker and Wesley celebrating their wins, and then Pretty Deadly interrupt?
I like the Pretty Deadly stuff. I thought they were really funny here. I just like the way they act. I weren't too keen on Braun Breaker calling them a wanker.
He did a terrible British impression.
That was such a cheap way of getting some cheese. I know it's because we're British, but I mean, we don't care. But terrible.
You can assault British people.
It felt like something off a Family Guy. It was
it was a bit lame, and and I didn't like. I don't know. I just think doing all the champions in a match for the belts,
I think it was crap, lazy, very lazy.
Well, the thing is with this main event is when I saw it was coming about, I thought, well, there's no way they can book this clean. This is going to be some ridiculous match. It's going to be. So I thought, what's the point? This match to me, I was like, I don't like this as a main event.
It was annoying, wasn't it?
I felt like it was like I was disappointed because when they said Braun was coming back to NXT this week, I thought, right, we're going to find out who's going to challenge him. That's great, and we did find out who's going to challenge him in other ways, and that was disappointing too.
Well, that's disappointing as well.
I thought we were going to get a good promo. I thought Apollo was going to come out because he said he was going to last week. I thought maybe we'll get someone different as well. We're not expecting even someone from the main roster, because if they do that on NXT. You know, I'd have loved that if like Cedric Alexander come out and was like, I'm not doing anything. I'd have been like, this is going to be a banger. Great. But no, Von Wagner, come on.
Well, and also they had in the main event, they had Carmelo and Von Wagner come out, and I thought, maybe we're going to get Carmelo and Braun. That's what I want to see in the main
Carmelo
event.
and Braun would have been great.
And then Carmelo goes after Wesley, and
again, yeah.
Thingy is
I
after
actually
Braun.
thought this NXT. There's a couple of things I like, but I thought overall this NXT was really disappointing.
Yeah, I think they really should have gone to Carmelo Braun. To me,
if you're
not
calling Carmelo up, what are you doing?
That's the best you can do. And I think I've heard before there's like a saying like amongst wrestling bookers where it's like, don't book too much for the future. Like if you've got something really good now, just do it now. And I just think they could wait for Carmelo and Braun for some big match down the line, but that's the best match to do right now. So just go for that now for me, because you don't know when they're going to be called up. Carmelo, Braun could both be called up. I guess there's more communication now with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, but yeah, to see Von Wagner as the challenger for Braun, I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed with that, of all the people. But I think we'll transition onto this little video package in a minute, but I think Dijakovic will be coming after him at some point, which I really, really look forward to that. I think that'd be great because I don't know if you saw the video package, but he had the NXT title in there. Talking about it. So, and Apollo's been talking about the NXT title as well. So I think they're setting up a few contenders here, and they still have JD McDonough at the end approach Apollo as well.
I think that'd be a good feud, by the way. Apollo and McDonough.
So I think they're keeping a few people at the title interest, because Von Wagner's not going to be the guy that beats Bron Breakker, surely. So the man after that might be, because there is a pay-per-view in December called Deadline. NXT. So I don't think they'll do Von Wagner then. I think they'll do that as a filler feud now, and then they'll do another match for Deadline. I hope anyway, because I don't want like 4 or 5 weeks of build between Wagner and Breakker. That's just not interesting to me.
Nah, I'm with you there. Yeah, and this was kind of a show of fairly disappointing like movements in the title picture, because we got Mandy Rose's 1 year celebration as champion.
It just felt like nothing really be said.
Yeah, and then it was just Alba Fire just interrupted, because clearly Mandy
didn't mind that celebration. I thought she made some quite good points.
No,
I like the video package.
Yeah, I think Mandy was good, and I think but like she was saying, she's like, I've beaten everyone. There's no one here that can beat me. And I was like, okay, who's coming out? Because someone's gonna come out when she's saying stuff like that. But I was thinking, who's it going to be that's going to challenge her? And it was just someone she beat last week.
Yeah.
In a match which probably benefited Alba Fire, because it was like in some weird cinematic match, and Alba Fire doing what all of that crazy stuff. I can only
assume that she's going to go through Toxic Attraction, then beat her, and this has to be the time the Toxic Attraction comes up to the main roster, surely.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I said months ago, Alba Fire
Mandy.
Then when she lost, I was shocked.
I
was shocked that Mandy. I think they wanted to just get her to this year celebration. I think that's why she beat her at Halloween Havoc. I think they wanted to do this year. You've had a year as NXT champion. That's brilliant. Now you're going to lose. I think that's what this is about. Hopefully, Alba Fire beats her, because although Mandy's had a really good reign, and I think she's gained a lot of respect from where she was before. Well, she said that herself. People saw her as eye candy. People didn't really believe in her.
Yeah.
I think people now were like, actually, she's quite good.
Yeah, she is. She's well. I remember when maybe before this podcast, but I remember we used to be quite critical of Mandy Rose's in-ring wrestling.
Oh, I used to be. Yeah.
Now
I remember
I
watching
think
a
she's
live
decent.
show a few years ago, and I was like, God, she's not good enough. She needs to, but she's improved a lot since then. A lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fair play to her.
Yeah. Anything else from NXT?
One thing I did want to talk about. Well, there's a few segments yet, but Schism. I want to get Krusty's take on this mainly, because he wasn't here last week. Adding Ava Raine to this group, who I thought last week she delivered an okay promo. This week, I thought she was really good. And obviously, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because of her dad being a rock.
Yeah.
She's going to be good. I think she might say, I've been very critical of Joe Gacy and Schism in the past. I think she might save this group. I've got a feeling she might save this group.
It's something different, isn't it? And they must have big plans to put somebody like this in there.
Yeah.
Into a group like that. I mean, if Triple H, where Shawn Michaels, Triple H thought that group was on its last legs and it was going to damage her introduction to the roster, you wouldn't risk it, would you? Because it's just, it has too much riding on it.
There's going to be eyes on whatever she does, isn't there?
So yeah, I think it could be good. And Joe Gacy, I'm not too bothered about at all, but I don't want them to ruin Grizzled Young Veterans.
No.
AKA Schism. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how she does and what dynamic.
It'd be interesting to see how good she is actually in the ring, because obviously we haven't seen her wrestle, but I think her promo skills, considering this was only a second TV appearance, I think she's a very good talker.
Definitely.
I really like the way she talks. So,
yeah.
and, you know, like I said, when you're the Rock's daughter, you should be good, but it doesn't always work out like that. We've seen wrestling families before where they've had sons or daughters come in and wrestling.
Yeah, but isn't her mum like a athlete as well? Can't remember exactly what she does, but she's like, you know, quite athletic, I think, as well. So I'm sure she'll be fine in ring. Yeah. I don't have many doubts about that.
She's been signed for WWE for quite a while as well, so she's had a lot of training. She's not like she's come in and been thrown straight in like some of them are. She's been in the performance. She signed like 2 years ago, so she's been around a little while. So they've obviously been preparing for this for some time, I think, with her.
Yeah. Chase U. Let's move on to them next.
I felt a bit sad watching this segment.
Yeah, Bodie Hayward got released. That was, I guess, a bit of news. We could have opened with Bodie Hayward. Would have been a bit weird, but he, amongst some other people, I don't think made TV really, got released from NXT in the week. And they just openly kind of spoke about it. Well, they didn't say it, but the flag just sat there and then feels like, who's going to carry this? And Duke Hudson. What do you think about Duke Hudson with Chase U?
I think it's okay.
I found it quite funny when he smashed through the wall.
Yeah, he did.
That was funny. Yeah,
that was okay. I just don't think you needed to release Bodie for them to replace with Duke. I think you could have just added him in. I don't think
that's the reason.
I don't think it is the reason, but I don't know. It felt like a very strange release, that one. Maybe there's something behind the scenes.
I mentioned last week, I asked a question about Charlie Dempsey, and we saw him here.
That was weird.
Yeah, I was like, where's Charlie? I remember when he was involved with Chase U, he come out and attacked Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson kind of warned him off. So is Duke turning face and joining Chase U properly, or is there something more to this, and Duke's actually aligned with Charlie Dempsey and like
that could go either way, couldn't it?
Anti-Chase U. But then Bodie Hayward being there would make more sense if you're going to do a tag team. But yeah, I don't really know. Kiana James beat Thea Hale. That was the match around all of this.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, the interesting thing was obviously Duke Hudson put Thea's foot on the ropes, and then Andre Chase was like, "We don't do that." Gets in the back. Then they lost. Then got beaten up, and then Duke had to make the save. And he kind of at the end he picked him up and was like, yeah, we're going to do this my way, kind of thing. So maybe Chase U turn heel. That's what I'm thinking, rather than Duke turn face. I can see Chase U adopting a much more Duke Hudson style of way of doing things eventually. And maybe Andre Chase teaches how to cheat in the ring rather than how to, and stuff like that. You could go a completely different direction with it. I think that could be what happens.
Yeah. I don't know actually what's going to happen.
It could go either way.
I'm intrigued.
It's all right.
Krusty, what did you think seeing Odyssey Jones back NXT?
I actually thought that was a good re-sign, to be fair, and I
think he's just been injured
when he got released initially. Oh, really?
He wasn't released. He's been gone for 10 months, but he was injured. Yeah. He
he was a good wrestler. I was quite excited. I mean, it was just basic return match, wasn't it?
The big body.
I thought he looked quite impressive in what he did. He was good. He's got charisma as well. He's quite charismatic.
Definitely, he's a good wrestler. So, and there's not many big, huge guys on NXT either. I know you've got the likes of Von Wagner, but
you've got Sango
not the same shape as. They're not the same sort of shape and dynamic as Odyssey Jones. He's quite a cool character. He's quite quick as well and agile for his size. So yeah, it's just pretty good to see him back.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned Veer and Sanga there. They had a little backstage thing with Valentina Feroz, who
she faced Cora Jade, didn't she? And got beat.
Lost to Cora
random
Jade.
Match that no one really cared about.
And
then Wendy Chu came to the rescue.
Yeah.
Which
I think
Wendy
we're
Chu
obviously
is
we're
one
of
person
Cora
I'm
Jade.
not getting on board
Yeah,
with.
Wendy Chu, Cora
I
Jade.
like Wendy Chu. I'm part of the. I'm a Chu chewer.
I'm really not sure.
I'm not at all.
Yeah,
Cora
I
Jade
think
won me over
I think I'm turned off by Wendy Chu. Cora Jade I quite like.
Yeah, I've been won over by Cora Jade, but yeah, not Wendy Chu. I've fed up with Wendy Chu.
No, Indy Hartwell beat Zoe Stark.
Now this is interesting.
This is a decent match. I thought.
This was a good match, yeah, but also the aggression shown by Zoe Stark, I think, is very interesting.
And I think she might be going heel.
Well, yeah, and the fact that Nikita Lyons as well, sort of almost cost her the match, and they have a tag team title match, don't they, next week? And if this hadn't happened, I'd have thought, well, they're probably going to win. But actually, I think they're not going to win, and it's going to cause a feud between the two of them, which I think could actually be a really decent feud.
Yeah.
Lyons versus Stark.
But the only problem is they haven't got many tag teams, have they? So I don't think they can break them up straight away. But who knows?
I
don't think they can. They still break them up, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
But then you bring in fresh. If they've just made releases, generally that means they're making way for fresh talent. So
we got Elektra Lopez backstage with Tony D'Angelo and his family of 2 Dimes. They Tony was like, "Nice to see you stuck around," as if Elektra had a choice.
She got lobbed out. She
got left behind.
They left her at the service station.
But yeah, just nice to have that little moment. I actually wouldn't mind Elektra joining D'Angelo because
I'm glad they kind of played on
together.
this. I thought this was a good little nod to the past. Elektra looks like she's doing it on her own by the looks of it, and she said, "If you thought I was dangerous before, you should see me now," kind of thing. And I said last week it could be the making of her in a way, because I felt like with Legado she was just stood there on the side.
I thought it's the best she looked last week.
Yeah, so this could, I think it's upgraded Legado by putting Zelina with them, but it could also upgrade Elektra's career because she could become a singles star out of this, whereas I think before she was massively overshadowed by Santos Escobar and the others.
Yeah, so. I agree. And does anyone know who Scripps is?
No, I've got no idea who Scripps is.
I've got a prediction.
Go for it.
I think Krusty might like this prediction.
Okay, I'm excited.
I think it. You might laugh at this.
I probably will.
I think it could be Noam Dar.
That's weird. I saw someone else say that.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know what it's based on though.
He hasn't been released, and he's just knocking about. Yeah, he's been knocking about, and I could just imagine him having a character called Scripps and pretending to rap, but actually being rubbish in it, and just being a bit like.
I'd love to,
because he's a bit
because he's awesome.
He's a bit like the Mustafa Ali character, the hacker. That thing on the hacker thing. It's kind of a bit like that, isn't he? He's a bit. I don't know what it is. The Scripps thing is. That's my prediction. Dar.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. It did sound like he was something. One of the lines he said made it sound like NXT was familiar to him.
Yes,
which made me think it could be someone returning to NXT or that's been around NXT before. Because
Danny Burch.
If it was someone completely new, then I don't think that would work. But I'm not sure.
Danny Burch.
No way, Jose.
Kushida.
Oh no, not Kushida.
No, not Kushida.
It's not Kushida. Christ.
Only Nisa's
God.
back.
We've gone off the rails. What's happened?
I just wonder if there's any ideas. For sure, you usually got some inside knowledge.
No, I honestly have no idea. I've not heard any actual rumours of returns that this could be. Probably because it's not going to be anyone huge, is it? If it was a main roster person, if it was someone coming up to the main roster, there'd be people talking about it because, like Uncle Howdy, people talk about that. Anyone else that might be returning this could either be someone completely new or it could be someone like Noah. It could be someone like Noah Bar. Yeah, it could easily be. I don't know who it is, but it is interesting.
He's still signed to WWE now, and he didn't get released.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
And he's probably someone too good to just do nothing with. So
yeah, it depends. Because it's weird because Tyler Bates not been around much. I don't know what they're going to do with these people until
Tyler
NXT
Bate,
Europe starts.
Blair Davenport, Maiko Satomura. There's a few of them.
Why have they not kept these people on TV? They're like so good.
Yeah, I know.
All of them, like great.
Yep. No, wait, yes, I have nothing else from NXT.
I'll just have a quick look, see if I've got anything, but I doubt it. No, I think that's it. That's it.
Sweet.
So that is it for this week. I hope you are all recharged. We have got predictions this week, of course, for Crown Jewel. It's up on our Twitter now. I've seen a few people have predicted so far, which is a good start. I haven't actually tagged anyone either in it yet, because normally I tag people that are already in our league, but I saw a few predictions coming in from some of our usual folks, the likes of Springer, the likes of LB, if you're listening, any of you.
Oh, Springer and LB.
I can't pronounce this guy's name, but YCIPSSS, that guy as well.
YC Piss.
I think it was called Wrestle Worlds before, but yeah, they've all predicted. We'll get ours in. So we're not going to do them on video, are we? We're just going to put them on Twitter, I'm assuming. Yeah,
it's probably easier. I'm pretty busy this weekend, so yeah, I won't get a chance.
But obviously, it's a nice time for us. Saturday afternoon show as well, which is quite cool. So we can watch it live. Maybe we'll try and do something after the show. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm actually out Saturday night, so I can't watch it live.
Oh, he's just showing he's a cool dude now.
I've got big plans. So I can't do anything.
He's going to the library. He's got a new library card.
I'm actually going to Saudi Arabia to watch it.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
That would be, yeah.
There would be if you were. But yes, so follow us on Twitter for more information on that. Obviously, feel free to join in. It is the end of the year. We're coming towards the end of the year now, obviously.
Ooh, an end of the year pod.
At the end of the year. Prize comes out at the end of the year for the man at the top. RM Punk, probably going to be you. But if you haven't joined in, it's still not too late too. You can still do it for fun and practice. Get your practice in so that when next year starts, you're ready to go. Because we've only got 2-3 shows left for this year now. So that'll be so follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle. Obviously,
just quickly, Fish, who's out of us three? Is it Krusty first, me second, you
I
third?
think it's but I think you two are like 1 point in it, and I'm like 3 points behind. Or something.
I thought we were drawing for some reason, but
I can't remember what exactly.
Because that's the big prize. I need to win the recharge.
Gloat.
Yeah,
I can't
recharge.
So for the whole of next year, I'm going to buy a trophy if I win, and just have
if I win again, I'm going to rub it in so hard because that means is it 2 or 3 years in a row?
It'd be about 3.
Might be 3. Are you ready? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, Fisher, you were saying.
So if you're listening to us on the podcast format, obviously check out our YouTube channel, Recharge Wrestling. Like and subscribe there. If you're listening on YouTube, then check out the podcast. Give them a listen if you prefer to. Follow us on Twitter, like I said before, and we'll see you next week. And we'll have a review. We definitely will have a review for Crown Jewel come up. So yeah, look out for that. Just don't know.
We have to now. Now you said it.
Well, we'll do it. Even if it's just me, I'll do it. But we will do one.
The MVP.
Yeah, it's MVP. Anyway, see you next week, guys.
Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.